Welcome, everyone. So, as we start the new academic year, it's both an exciting but also a very crucial time for many of us in year 12 and 13, especially as we start making some pretty important decisions, considering about life after school. And for many of you, that might be choosing to go to university to study a university course. And having been through the process not too long ago myself, I know it can be not a very straightforward decision to make, and there's a lot to consider in a short space of time. So, that question of how do I choose the right course for me is definitely a big question to ask. So, we hope to cover that in this session and provide a bit of guidance around making that decision yourself. And yeah, so my name is Manisha from the Global Bridge team, and it is my pleasure to hand over to Chloe from UCL to help deliver the session. So, yeah, over to you, Chloe. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Manisha. Hi, I'm Chloe. I work at UCL, and the main objective of my role is helping Year 12 students make informed decisions about their university choices. So we're going to be talking about the most important choice that you'll be making, which is choosing your course and how to choose the right course. I do think when it comes to university courses, it's really important to make sure it's something that you love doing. It's something that you can get the grades for. It's at a university that you're really interested in going to. So there's a lot of different decisions to kind of make along that process. So to just start off, I'm going to do a bit of a question to you all, and that is how many courses do you think there are on offer at UK universities? So take a second to pause, think about what your answer is. So, in terms of how many courses there are over 50,000 courses to choose from in UK universities, which is a lot. It might be a lot more than what you were thinking. Usually, when I deliver this session, students guess maybe 1,000, 2,000. But there's a lot of things to consider in all those courses. And it's not only subject preference, but also years abroad, years in industry, what the structure of the course is, maybe new subjects that you've never heard of before. So, when we are considering how to choose a course, there's a lot of factors to think about. So I'd like you to all take a minute now to think about where you stand on the following statements. So feel free to pause and discuss. But do you know that you do want to go to university? Is it something you're certain about? Is it something you're thinking about? What kind of stage are you at in the university process? Do you know what you want to study at university? So you might know that you want to go to university. There's lots of key skills and experiences that you want to get out of it. But do you know exactly what you want to study? Are you at the stage where you're thinking of a general subject area, but you're not exactly sure specifically what you want to do? Or are you someone who likes a lot of different subjects and you're really struggling to narrow it down? Or do you not want to go to university at all? And then finally, do you know what courses that universities are interested in offer and what courses you want to apply to? So, where you might be thinking, okay, so I definitely want to do engineering. Have you picked 5 engineering choices at universities and you know exactly the course content, what they're offering, and exactly what you want to do? So, in terms of all those statements, that's going to be what we're discussing today and how to start making decisions about university courses. There are thousands of combinations for each subject. So, you could study anything from art and design to language and culture, health and social care, teaching and education, or engineering, computing, and mathematics. There's literally so much to choose from. So, on the screen right now, I've got some sections of typical subject areas that you might go into. But as we've said, we know there's over 50,000 courses to choose from. So there are thousands of combinations with just within these big subject areas. So I want to take a minute to ask you right now, if you are thinking about university and you are thinking about doing a course, what is the most important thing to you when choosing that course? What factors are you thinking about? Are you being led by a subject that you really enjoy doing, that you want to learn more about? Are you someone who wants to do something entirely new? Maybe you know you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, so you've got to do a course to get on that track. So what kind of things are you thinking about when choosing your course? And Manisha is someone who has recently applied to and got accepted into a university. I want to ask you what kind of things you were thinking about when you were choosing your university course.
Yeah, I think for me it was I was quite like future oriented when I made my decision. So I like to consider opportunities that I might get after my degree. So not thinking too short sighted, but also just what I was enjoying at school at the moment. So that I think the present, but also the future was kind of what guided my decision. Knowing that, I mean, I'm studying economics. So I did it for both GCSE and A level during school, and I knew that I really enjoyed it during school. I carried it forward, and I had a very passionate teacher. So knowing what kind of surrounded the subject a bit more, I knew what was out there in the future, and I thought maybe I might be interested doing that after. So yeah, both the present and the future, I guess.
I think both the present and the future is a great way to look at it. So moving on to the next slide, I think one of the most important aspects of choosing your course is going to be something that you enjoy doing. Some things that we enjoy doing are usually things that we tend to do quite well in, we might be quite good at, and we might score quite highly in. So as much as I think thinking about the future is a great thing, you don't necessarily have to have a future career in mind, but it can be really helpful. If you know you enjoy doing something, you might want to go into it in the future. But really thinking about what's going to propel you through maybe 3 to maybe 7 years of university study. It's quite a big commitment. You'll be going into this subject in way more depth than you have before at post 16 study. So thinking about what it is you enjoy doing most. But we've also got to think a bit practically. So what are the entry requirements for the course, and can you meet them? Is it something that you think is realistic? So we usually advise, if you've got 5 choices on UCAS, we pick maybe 1 to 2 choices that are high achieving, really aspirational. So on your best day can score those grades. Then we'd recommend 2 choices that are something that you feel quite comfortable achieving. So grades that you know on an average day you could get. And then maybe 1 choice that is a little bit below and a bit of a safety blanket choice as well in terms of entry requirement. So other things you might be considering is, like Manisha said, do you want to work in a particular area? Is it something that you want to go on to do in the future? You might be thinking about career options at the end. For anyone who doesn't know what they want to do when they're older, I do want to reassure you that you don't have to know right now. University and doing a course you enjoy will be an opportunity to find out what you actually enjoy doing, what skills and qualities that you have. So where you might not be thinking about career just yet, it can be helpful. And as we said before, there are some careers such as doctors or lawyers or engineers that do require a certain degree subject to get there. You might also be thinking about specific qualifications. So if you're studying English literature at university, you might need English literature A level. So kind of working out what kind of courses you will be narrowed down to because they want a specific qualification from you. But then also some courses don't require qualifications and it's something completely new. So for example, something like archaeology might be something that you've not done at sixth form or college, and something that usually doesn't require a specific subject at A level or post 16 study. So you might be thinking of really changing things up. And as I said, there's over 50,000 courses, so it's very likely that there's something quite different on offer. You might also be thinking about course length. So, for example, if you're thinking about a medic career, do you think you can hack a 6 to 7 year degree? Is it something you're willing to commit to? Do you instead maybe want to start out with a 3 year biomedical sciences degree and then consider where to go into postgraduate study after that to become a doctor? So, this might be something you're thinking about. And again, structure of the course. So are there any work placements? Do you think you benefit from a year in industry that is sandwiched into your degree? Or maybe you want the opportunity to study abroad or travel. So any subjects such as languages or other subjects that offer a year abroad, the opportunity to experience something quite different might be really interesting to you. And then the final thing I think is really important when considering course choice is remembering that no 2 courses are exactly the same. So like we said, when we're thinking about that big 50,000 number, it's important to recognise that universities don't run on a national curriculum. So each university will decide what different courses have different course content. In short, no one's telling a university what they have to teach. So this slide demonstrates 2 English literature degrees. So one at Newcastle University and one at the University of Warwick. So I've got here a list of optional module examples. And as you can see, they're all related to English literature and they're all kind of similar, but they're not exactly the same. So you've really got an opportunity now to go and read course content carefully, work out what exactly you want to study within that subject. It's not necessarily enough to say, oh, I know I want to do English. You've got to look at exactly what the university is teaching for English. And as I've said, no 2 universities will be the same. So to summarise, how you might start to think of narrowing course choice down will be through your subject choices. So what do you enjoy? What do you think you're good at? And what's going to propel you maybe into a future career that you're interested in? You might start thinking about location. So now you've come up with course choices, you've started reading course content, and now you're thinking about what universities offer them, where they are, and where suits you to live for the next few years. You might be also thinking about research and networking opportunities. So does this course offer any opportunities to do some further research in a practical way? Is there opportunities to network with people with similar subject interests to you? You might also be thinking about the university itself. So, any hobbies and interests you have, will the university support that with clubs and societies? What facilities does the university have? And then finally, you might be also considering some more university specific things like accommodation or travel. How do you get to university? How do you get to your lectures? Where are you going to be staying? And how much does it cost? If you are one of these people that are torn, who you have lots of different subject interests and you can't necessarily narrow it down into one place, you might consider things like joint degrees, combined studies courses, or interdisciplinary qualifications. So a joint degree might look like chemistry and French, so two kind of unrelated subjects that you can study together. A combined studies course might be something that's more overarching, so a human sciences or social sciences course that allows you to pick lots of different modules in that overarching subject area. Uniquely at UCL, we have the Arts and Sciences Bachelor of Arts and Science, which is the opportunity to minor in an arts subject or major in a science subject and vice versa. So in this instance, you could literally end up studying creative writing and physics in combination. So as you can see, there's lots of different subject options. And if you are someone who's just really interested in lots of different things and you just want to go to university, that might be a good place to start looking. So where can you start? University prospectuses are the best first place to look. Most universities have an electronic copy of their prospectus online, and that's going to give you a detailed breakdown of the course information and exactly what each university course is offering. You might want to start by listing careers that you're interested in and see what courses tend to lead in those careers. But again, if you've not got a career in mind, that's absolutely fine. I would always recommend students to go to ucas.co.uk and use their course directory. And from there, maybe just search a random subject, interest, or hobby that you have and see maybe if there's a related course to those hobbies or interests. What you could also do is look at taster courses for universities. So any universities offering an opportunity to do some subject insight courses and find out what it's actually like to study that course at university. You might also think more going into kind of spring and summer next year of visiting some open days, finding out exactly how students find that course. But in the meantime, you could also go to student forums such as the Student Room and see what students are actually saying about that course as they're studying it. So thank you for listening and best of luck with your course choices. I hope that got you thinking about where you're at in the process. I think the best thing to remember is to pick things that you enjoy, something that's going to propel you through maybe 3 to 7 years of study, and start looking at the varied interests you could have when picking your course.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chloe. I think I would also just like to echo I think that was very helpful. I think I would like to echo the open days as well. That's something I didn't do my first time around when I was applying. And if I could go back and do something differently, it would just be a bit more on the ball with attending open days. I think having that kind of exposure to being in a city, in a new place as well, and experiencing that, as well as getting more of an academic feel of how does uni life look like, and different subject tasted days and sessions. It's so beneficial because it's very different to school. I think that's one thing that students might be a bit shocked by, is that it's not going to be in the same structure as school. So being exposed to that year 12ish is definitely the way to go, I would say. And also I had a question about speaking to admissions teams. So if maybe people did end up going to open days and things, what would you recommend are good questions that students can ask admissions team members about getting more clarity on their subject?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. One of the things generally, and this is on the flip side, admissions tutors are looking for is someone who's very motivated and enthusiastic about the subject. So I always recommend to students to have, they're applying for a course that they're really interested in. So I think, as we've said, having a look in prospectuses and looking up the course content, and then maybe going to admissions tutors and asking specifically about that course content, and maybe where you'd want to start. Because we've also got to think in a few months' time, you'll be thinking about personal statements and all those kind of things. So universities might quite like to see that you've researched stuff that's kind of on the course specification. It's not that you have to be an expert in it, it's just that you have to show interest. So it might be nice to ask admissions tutors about specific information around the course and what it's like to study it. I think there's often a misconception with university applications that you need to be the perfect candidate as soon as you're applying. But I think what admissions tutors want to see is that kind of motivation and willingness to grow and learn. And you demonstrate that in your personal statement by showing that you've kind of read around the subject area, or maybe listen to podcasts or watch documentaries. So I think if you are going to open days, it's a great opportunity to speak to those subject specialists and kind of dig in deeper to the course content and see what they'd recommend in terms of doing some what we call super curricular engagement. So anything that's taken you out of the classroom and beyond the subject. And that's the kind of stuff that goes into the personal statement. I think also just asking about what the course teaching is like. So as we said, we've got so many choices when it comes to university course, over 50,000. And another thing to think about in there is that you've got an opportunity to think about how you're going to be taught at university. So it's not just, oh, I'm really interested in this subject, I'll go do that. It's, are you a problem-based learner? Are you someone who likes to be involved in debates? Or do you learn really well through lectures? So actually finding out what the teaching is like, and how the course is taught and how many people are on the course and what the structure is, I think will really help you work out, what course is going to be best for me, what's going to motivate me the most, and what's going to support my learning the most as well. So have a think about, how you do like to be taught. It's not necessarily all the same as college and sixth form. You might be taught in a way that's, really, really suits you.
Yeah, and I think on that point as well, it's that each uni also has their special kind of maybe niche in subjects as well. So knowing what uni is known for is a good way to go forward as well. And I mean, I did a summer school with UCL through Global Bridge actually, and that really sort of cemented my kind of decision as well, because for a week we kind of just did kind of subject taster sessions. It was virtual because it was during COVID, but it was such a good way to sort of see how university kind of research and like independent learning kind of goes on. So I would definitely recommend as well people in year 12 especially to get applying around February, January time to start looking into summer schools and things. UCL does a really good one, so it's great to even just, I think you'll be back in person now, which is great. If anything I can kind of add, I would just say as well, it's good to consider the skills that you would like to gain. I think that's one thing, is a great thing for students to consider going forward, is what do I want to be better at, or what do I want to gain? Because I think alongside sort of learning just your subject at uni, you're going to be gaining skills alongside that. So do I want to be stronger in like my quantitative skills, my qualitative skills, like seeing how you're going to be using all of those skills and come out of that a bit more intellectually smarter is like a good way to kind of make a decision as well. And yeah, work experience is one other thing that I kind of noted down. Is I think I've heard a lot of admissions personal statements as well kind of go towards what other things have you been up to. So as you mentioned, super curricular work experience and going a bit outside of the classroom to show your interest is such a great way. So that also kind of gives you an idea of what where that subject can take you. But no, I think would you like to add anything else for our listeners, Chloe, about when they're making these decisions about for year 12s or 13s?
I think you've touched on some really good things like skills and things like that, I think are really important to mention. And like you said, getting a feel for the university and the teaching. So even if you don't end up doing a taster session that is exactly the subject you want to do, you will still be getting a sense of what academic skills are, and what that university teaches like, even if it's not exactly the course you want to apply for. So really do just try and get all of those experiences together, try and speak to students, get on those taster courses or summer schools. If you can get work experience, great, but remember that admissions tutors are looking for you to reflect on your academic experiences, and that's the really key thing. So for example, having some fantastic work experience without reflecting on it in a personal statement wouldn't necessarily prove that you're really interested in that course. So always be reflecting. But yeah, like you said, Manisha, just get talking to students, find out what the course is like, what the skills are like, and what really works best for you as a student. You've got an opportunity now to choose something that really works for you, out of a lot of choices. So yeah, start researching. But it's exciting. It's not necessarily meant to be a scary thing. It can be really interesting and fun to do.
Yeah, and just as much as you know what you want to do, what you're interested in, it's a good opportunity to know what you don't like as well. And I think
Exactly.
it's like discovering both ends of that. So yeah, it is a very exciting time. Thank you so much, Chloe, for your guidance, and hopefully this is of benefit for any year 12s and 13s who are watching, and helping you to make that decision moving forward. So yeah, thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having me.